Folks, thought I'd take the moment today to do another couple of mud fossil and stone effigy videos. Um, well, I shall start with this. I'm going to start with this. I found this in the river when the tide was out, and when you first see it, when I first found it, it was covered in seaweed and algae, and I just picked it up. Most of these things I pick up by chance because I see some kind of outline or shape, and I take them back and clean them. A lot of the times they're nothing, but you do strike the jackpot sometimes, and I did with this. So where do I begin with this? Right. First of all, what struck me about this stone when I started to clean it was the eye socket on that side and the eye socket on that side, and it appears to have a mouth. So here's the mouth area. Oh no, I didn't notice this before, not until I got it in camera view there. I think this is a mud fossil of a small crocodile. You can see the outline of the eye. Now, I never noticed that before. See where my finger is? I'm just covering it now. I take that away and you see the round slitted eye. Wow. I promise you I did not see that before, that eye there. And there is the mouth, and obviously where the part has a fang there, and it's a mouth. That's incredible, seeing that eye there for the first time. Get it in better view. The eye, and the top of the head of the crocodile creature, and its mouth. Wow. So, okay, so if I turn this to the back of the creature's head, you can see the neck bone. There's the neck bone, and it has a hole through it where the spinal column would have run. And I'll keep turning it, and as you can see, it's a complete bone, a complete neck bone. Turn it around again. So that is strange. And there's the bulbous eye on the other side. So the eye on this side is kind of like more pronounced, but the imprint of the eye is left on the other side. So if I turn it around, and it seems to me that when this creature died and was possibly instantly fossilized for all I know, it was in the middle of consuming a meal. And I think its meal is in its mouth. You keep turning it back to where we started. And, where are we? Yeah. There we go. So, and there's its mouth again, and there's the other eye with the slit. And you can quite clearly see the outline of the crocodilian shape. And it was eating something, and that's what it was eating, sticking out of its mouth there, at the point of petrification. So here we go, there's the neck bone again. And inside, the skull is hollow. I've shone a torch up there, and it's most of it hollow, where the brain and whatever else was in there would have been. Okay, so that's the first one I'm going to show you. And on the very same day, in the same place, I found this. And this is a fossilized head and beak of a water bird. As you can see, it has the beak here running, and the beak, there is the split mark there where the beak would open and close. That is the head of the creature coming up, and there is its nostril in there. Here is the back of the head area of the bird, and there is another hole for the spinal column. And if I turn it round, whether that was the eye of the bird at one point, I do not know, but here's the beak area again. And I think this creature was in the middle of eating some kind of a meal too, and that's its meal in here, like a fish. You can just about make the outline of something, you know. Maybe it had one of those soft underbelly beaks and you can see the outline of a fish or something. I'm going to turn it around again and give you a better view of it. There's the beak and there's the nostril and the head area of it, and that's possibly what it was eating in here. And so that was petrified into stone. Let me see, what else have I got? This here. Now I've got to get this the right way around to show you. Can't see in this light. Where is it? Sometimes you lose, it's easy to lose track of the animal features on them, but it's very difficult to make out in this light. But I think this was possibly some kind of a bird or something. And there's the eye area in there. And we have a piece of petrified wood here, and it still has the sap on it. There's the sap. It's like and the sap's been petrified as well. Obviously that's amber, and it's a piece of broken wood that has been petrified. Now I found that in the same place. And what's amazing about this is that I think that this piece of wood was possibly at one time part of an oar of a boat, or it was made by post-flood people who had to survive. They found this and made it into a cleaver, because that's a very sharp edge here, and like you have a handle, and it's very smooth here and sharp there. It's almost like a cleaver, but I think it was an oar for a boat at one time, or a rudder. But it was definitely wood at one point. The interesting thing about it is that piece of sap that was dripping out of it at the point of petrification. Other interesting little mud fossil I have here, which is quite a staggering one, if I can find the right place, is a head of a peregrine falcon. Here's the beak area, and there's the eye of the creature. That's its beak. It's very difficult to know. It's better to see this in the flesh, and you're better to make it out better. So here we go. The beak coming down, and there's the eye of it. And it looks to me like the head of a falcon or something. So let me get a better view of it here. Yeah. Just trying to see which is the other way. I saw something interesting on it as well. So whatever way you look at it, you got some kind of a creature. But I'm going to go with a falcon for it. And I've got numerous of these teeth that belong to some forms of carnivores. Yeah, I've got hundreds of these, and you can see that's a tooth that's been ground down and worn. Another interesting little thing that I have here is a little owl. Whether it's a carving or it was a real owl at one time, I do not know. But here we have one open eye of the owl, with a little spot in there which may have been the stalk that runs into the eye, an eye half closed here, and the kind of belly of the creature, the owl, coming down. Let you see that better. So if I shine a light inside that, you can just make out a glistening inside it. No, it's not going to work on this camera. just inside the eye, if I move it, you might be able to see it glistening and shine inside, like Formica or something. So we have this little owl creature. And in the same area, I found this piece of flint here. This is a beautiful piece of flint. And this has definitely been carved as a tool by the either pre-flood or post-flood peoples. And the post-flood peoples may have had to use stones and make tools out of them to survive. So here we've got a handle. This is the handle part with a sharp blade coming down under here. This is very sharp all around here. And they've left the cortex on it for grip. You see, they leave the cortex on these stones as tools for grip when they got blood on them, or if you're skinning an animal or they're wet, so the skin doesn't slip on the stone. As you can see, there's a really sharp bladed bit running on here, and this bit is kind of flat, and that would have been used to scrape and push if you were cleaning out a skin of an animal to survive, which they may well have had to have done. So that's quite an interesting little tool I found with those things. Now, I found this as well down there. This is really interesting. As you can see, it's like a flat plate. But on this side, it's got, like, again, this blood seepage thing. So I think it may have been a body part. I don't know if it may have been a heart or something, some part of an animal. But again, it's got all that rust on it, where there was possibly blood at one point. What else have I got here? Yeah, I'm just showing a handful of these things just right now. I found that there as well, which is quite interesting. I think that this is possibly, it was either a creature at one time that was made into an effigy, but it appears to be an effigy of a head. There's the neck area, some form of helmet, and the chin area, and on this side we have chin, nose area, and the sloping head coming up, and there's the eye of this effigy. And yeah, it's quite an interesting piece of carving. I found it like this with all these notches taken out of it. Let me see what else I've got here. Another interesting piece of stone I found recently is this. As you can see, the flint is being like chipped out. It's either been made by man or it's a body part, a mud fossil body part, but it's red, as you can see, kind of cylindrical. And if it was made by man, the only thing I could think of it would be like a rasp for maybe using on an animal carcass or something, if they were having to hunt to survive after the flood. See, if a lot of these stones are actually body parts from like mud fossils, body parts, then the post-flood survivors who would have been left to have to hunt and use whatever tools they could find lying around and make stone tools, etc., would have found these petrified body parts very useful to mold into tools. Other thing I've got here is this. This is a very, very interesting looking stone. As you can see, the shape of it is cylindrical. And what's interesting about this, I think it was either a bone or part of a snake's body or something, but it's got this piece in the middle here that probably runs all the way through it. So that's quite an interesting shape, and again it has this blood red on it where it's bled out, and cylindrical, and got this strange sort of swirling pattern going on. So it may have been part of the body of a snake. Wish I had the whole lot. And this blood red stone, or the camera's not picking up the red, but I can assure you it is red. You can see some of it on here, and the flint itself is actually red there. It's just not, the light might pick up the red on it. But this is very sharp all along the bottom here, and it's been made into a kind of a saw blade. It's got the cortex on there for the grip. Oh, you can see the red coming through here. It's got the cortex left on here to put the thumb on and to grip, and would have been used as a saw. And the blade has been notched like a saw. You see all the red in it now, can't you? Yeah. So, also you would have held that like that to use as a cutting tool. Anyway, I'll leave you with that just now. And thank you for watching again. I'll make some more shortly.